Hello friends, in today's video we will discuss about VPC and compute engine. So we will see the theory and practical of it. This will help in associate cloud engineer and associate cloud architect exam. This lab is common. So let me switch to GCP. As we know, VPC provide networking functionality in Google Cloud, and without a VPC you cannot create a VM. And we know that in every Google project we have default VPC network, and VPC is a global resource. So let's switch to GCP, and here we can, when we type here VPC networks, we can land here, and here we can see that there is a default VPC network already available to our project, and this is a global resource, and it has subnets, and the subnets are region specific. VPC is global, but subnets are region specific. Here they have particular region mentioned with their IPs, and then we have routes. If you go over here and we select the VPC network and the region, we can view the available routes for this VPC network, which is coming here. Then we have firewall rules. In this VPC network we have 4 firewall rules that we will learn step by step. So I just created 2 VMs in 2 different zones, and I'm just doing SSH to the, one of the VM in order to show you the firewall rule and its importance. So subnet, as we know, is a regional resource. Each subnet is tied to a specific Google Cloud region, and firewall, like each VPC has built-in firewall. Firewall rules control which packets are allowed or denied, and traffic source and destination. And routes that we saw, they define how traffic flows from a VM instance to a destination, to external outside Google Cloud network. So that what we saw in the Google Cloud lab. So now I'm doing the SSH to one of the VM, and then I will try to ping internal and external IPs of the second VM. Since all of my firewall rules are configured in this default VPC network, so if I do the ping from this VM to internal or external IP of another VM, it will be a success. But if I try to delete this one protocol, one firewall rule, which is default allow ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol, if I delete it from this VPC network, then I can see that once it's deleted, I will not be able to ping to another VM's external IP. If I switch to this window, and here I try to ping external IP of the first VM, which is ping 35.194.185.248, I can see that there is no response. All the packets are getting lost. You can see 100% packet loss. However, my ping with internal IP of another machine will work from here. As I written the wrong IP, it is 140.0.2. so I can see the response of ping is coming. That means I am able to communicate from VM in Asia South to VM of Asia East 1 via internal IP. Via external IP it is blocked because I do not have default allow ICMP firewall rule in my VPC network. But if I delete this default allow internal firewall rule, if this is deleted, then I will not be able to communicate with another VM using the internal IP. So if now I try to ping another VM internal IP, I can see all my packets are getting lost. Another firewall rule is default allow SSH. If I delete this, then I cannot do SSH to any of the VM machine. So if I close my current SSH session, and now since my default allow SSH rule is deleted, so if I try to connect to any of the VM via SSH, I will not be able to do so. Generally SSH connection does not take this much time, but because my VPC network firewall rule of SSH is deleted, so it is not able to connect to TCP port 22. Let's switch to theory. So we just saw that if we delete allow ICMP rule, then we are not able to ping external IP of other VM instances. And if we delete default allow internal firewall rule, then we are not able to communicate with other VM instances using the internal IP. And if we delete default allow SSH firewall rule, we cannot connect to VM via SSH. This SSH runs on TCP port 332 by default, TCP port 22 by default. I will update this. And last is, as you can see, I'm not able to connect to SSH because that default allow SSH rule is deleted from my VPC network. And last is, if I delete this default allow RDP rule, then I am not able to do remote desktop to a window machine if this rule is not present in my VPC network. And the first point that we saw, that without VPC you cannot create a VM instance. So if I try to delete this network, VPC network, if I go over here and try to delete this default VPC network, let's go inside and delete this VPC network default. Since my default VPC network is deleted, now if I try to create a new VM instance, say with E2 micro in the same region with networking details of default VPC, if I try to create, our network is still in deleting mode, so let's wait for that first. This VM will be created because my VPC network default is still present in this Google project. Let's wait a minute for this. So it's saying deletion error because I already have 2 VM instances of it. So let me first delete those VM machines which are using these VPC network. Now if I delete all the VMs and then delete the VPC network, default VPC network, and then if I try to create a VM, then it will throw me an error that I cannot delete I cannot create the VM instance because I not have any default VPC or any VPC network in this Google project. So key points here in this video are: VPC is a global resource, whereas Subnet is a regional resource. And without VPC, you cannot create a VM. And for internal communication between VM instances, we use default allow internal protocol, whereas for pinging to other VMs using the external IPs, we use default allow ICMP protocol. And to connect to a VM using SSH, our firewall rule should be default allow SSH configured on TCP port 22. And if we want to connect to remote desktop to a Windows machine, then we should have default allow RDP rule configured in our firewall of that VPC network. And in this VPC firewall rules, we have integer numbers. Higher integer number means low priority, whereas smaller number means higher priority. So that's it about this video. And since all my VPCs are all my VMs are deleted, let me quickly try to delete this VPC network. and after deletion of this, if I try to create a VM, then it will throw me an error. So this is about this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for series of videos on this GCP Cloud Architect and GCP Cloud Associate Engineer exam. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe the channel.